Everybody, Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And this morning, during my morning meditation, I'm right in the middle of a 30 sessions in 30 days group session with a really cool group of people from around the world. And every day as part of it, I wake up an hour early and I do a deep meditation and deep healing session. And then I get on the call with everybody and do 15 minutes of a live session. So there's like the tip of the iceberg, the 15 minutes, and then there's an hour ahead of time setting the space up and actually doing the session before they even get on. And that's because I want them to not have to have a lot of time involved and to have a big shift. And today I was thinking about stuff. You know, some of the people are having these huge changes and some are going through some really tough times. And it's all good. It's all things leaving and being detoxed or leaving. But it can be daunting sometimes when somebody's going through a really tough time. And I was thinking about it, especially about one particular person, and it made me somewhat upset. Like, man, oh man, if only this hadn't happened. You know, certain medical procedures and certain things and vaccines and all sorts of injuries that happen to people. And then I thought about some of my healer coaches and healer teachers and the people I've studied with for many years, the medical intuitives. And for some reason I thought, oh yeah, this one, when I was working, you know, for ourselves, some of them didn't help with this or didn't help with that. So healing is a funny thing. What is true healing? And you know, no matter how good a practitioner is, or no matter how connected somebody is, or no matter how much somebody cares, there's things that happen that you kind of go, wow, that person didn't help with that thing. But so as I was thinking about all this stuff swirling around today, I thought, man, if only it was kind of like the forest behind me. You know, if you leave the forest alone, it'll do just fine, right? I mean, the trees will grow, the grass will grow, the plants will grow, animals will do well, the deer, the mountain lions, everything will come into balance if you just leave it alone. And Jen is reading a book. She just finished a book called The Moth in the Iron Lung. And so I get the cliff notes. She tells me what's going on with it. It sounds like an amazing book. And over and over and over again, we see how people, some with really good intentions, just mess things up. Scientists especially. It's like, why are you doing stuff? Just leave things alone, right? And when back in, I believe, it started even in the late 1800s, but in the early to mid 1900s, 1930 or so, I believe that's the timeline, there was a big scare, you know, the polio thing. But then as this one guy in that book, The Moth in the Iron Lung, documented history, what had happened throughout history, we had been spraying a lot of DDT all over everything, even in children's lunch boxes. We were dousing kids in DDT. DDT was everywhere. And it was this miracle thing, kind of like Roundup was for a while before it got found out. But all over the place. And it was because they thought that there was something that started happening where a lot of people started becoming paralyzed, especially the kids. And so then they were trying to figure out, it's got to be a virus. It's got to be a virus, a new virus. Something's coming up. And they kept looking and looking and looking. And so part of it was they had this thing, DDT, and they said, well, this is going to kill any insects. Maybe the virus is coming in on an insect or some sort of animal or something. So they started dousing everything in DDT, kind of like they did with the Roundup over the past few years. And then kids were getting paralyzed. And so they were trying to piece it together. And what Jen was telling me was, and I encourage you to read the book because she was the one that read it. But she was saying that if you look at DDT poisoning, it has the symptoms of paralysis and all these things that they were trying to find an answer to. And so as I was thinking about it this morning, I was like, man, if we just didn't do stuff to people that hurt them, that'd be kind of good, right? Like the forest behind me. And recently, just today, I saw something that a bunch of scientists at the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, have all come forward and said there's this huge amount of fraud in the CDC. And they just documented all this stuff that the scientists are doing and covering up for who knows what reasons, but it's big. It just came out. And I feel like these old systems that just hurt people are crumbling. I mean, it's my opinion, you know, and but I feel it. And if we can just let people live, to really live, and kind of like the forest that's sitting right back here, if we just let them live, and it'll be fine. You know, one of my friends is really concerned about the state of the environment, you know, and CO2 emissions and plastics in the ocean and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, you know, the Earth's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It'll figure out a way to do stuff. The issue is, are humans going to be here? You know, the Earth will be fine. So what I thought would be cool is to just think about that a bit, and then see if there's a way to go inside to your own wisdom and see what it is you really want, and what you're doing, and what's going on. And I don't have a big call to action with this one, with this video, but it's just some thoughts that came up today that if we could just let nature, God, whatever it is, do what God does in that infinite wisdom, I think we'd be doing pretty darn good. Because as Jen was reading that book and looking at history, even from the 1800s, things that were done for good reasons, you know, I can see why people did things, why scientists did things, why industry did things to try to make life better. Man, some stuff kind of went funny. So I think things are shifting now. And if you can find my Facebook, I just posted some stuff about what the CDC scientists have now come out and said. And I think it's changing. I think it's time. I think it's really time for us to have a real change in this world, and to start to live more in harmony with nature and the earth and inner wisdom. Because a lot of these things that we thought were here to protect us, maybe are causing some of the problems. So that's it. So let's get out there and live. Let's really live. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you think is going on. And comment below, hit subscribe, share, and go look for my Facebook posts about what the CDC scientists have said. Just, I think it was just very recent. All right, bye now. Ralph Havens, signing off, autoimmuneanswers.com.